What is up, everybody? Your boy got a live show. It is the Degens IDP Blitz. For the first time, we are live, so you are going to see it all. No edits. This is just strictly two dudes talking ball. And I have the honor this week of having Darin Tietgen on my pod for the first time. We just met. We've had a nice conversation for the 10 to 15 minutes while we're kind of waiting here backstage. But now it is time to get serious. We are not friends anymore. I wouldn't say we're adversaries, but we are really trying to get down to the nuts and bolts of IDP to try to be better and try to win our league. So, Darin, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, normally we start this show with injuries, but for 2 weeks now, it's actually going to be kind of a positive start to the show because there really wasn't any notable injuries or really anything that we need to kind of dive into and discuss. So hopefully, as we end the season, it's going to continue to get better and better. So we're going to go right into what we're going to do this week, which was a RISERS episode. We are trying to understand who is legit, who started off the radar, and who is now on the radar and potentially could pull us to winning our championship. So, Darin, we're going to do one player from each position group: defensive line, linebackers, and defensive backs.
Okay.
We're going to pick people that are not household names at the beginning of the year who have become household names. So we are going to start with you, our esteemed guest. Can we start on the defensive line? Who is a guy that we didn't know about, who is a legitimate guy moving forward in IDP?
Well, this guy, I wouldn't say that he wasn't a household name coming in, but he did have only single-digit scoring from weeks 1 through 6. That's Montez Sweat from my Bears. Got the rocking the Urlacher jersey here. Montez Sweat, he's had double digits over the past 5 weeks. Chicago's turning the ball over. Montez Sweat's, I wouldn't say he's an elite pass rusher, but he's certainly an above-average pass rusher on a very good defense that's turning the ball over, like I said. So Montez Sweat's a guy that you could definitely start on a weekly basis going forward.
Love that. Sweat, I think both of the Sweats are in the top 10 in defensive line this season currently. So you got to love to see that, especially with the Bears. When you talk about the Bears, yeah, it's exciting to talk about Caleb Williams. He has been great to watch. He's starting to kind of ascend into what we thought he would be. But when you're talking Chicago Bears, you have to talk defense. So having a stout defensive line specifically for the Bears, you got to love it. Sweat's been awesome this year. Really quick, I want to shout out Jamie here. I don't know if it's going to show up on the screen. There was no 2-minute countdown, man. We took the feedback seriously, tried to get it off there. So I appreciate you, Jamie, for that. I'm going to start with my defensive lineman, and that is probably a name that a lot of people are familiar with, but you wouldn't think he's doing as well as he is, and that is Calais Campbell, the defensive tackle. He is also probably the largest human being I've ever seen in person when I went to a Colts-Jaguars game a few years back. The dude towers over professional athletes. But it's not just the size that I love about him. It is his production this year, specifically from the interior defensive line. Interior defensive linemen, we know, they're not really people that you seek out on the waiver wire. But Calais Campbell this year is somebody who he's always been around. He's likely going to be a Hall of Famer. He's been doing this for darn near 20 years, it seems. And he's been productive in each stop. And I think it's truly because he is just a good football player. This year, we've got 26 total tackles, 8 for a loss, and he's got 5 sacks. Getting the sack production is really what gets me going with him because interior defensive linemen are not guys that you are expecting to get to the quarterback. So having 5 sacks about a little past the halfway point, we're seeing an opportunity for him to get up in that 8 to 10 range this season. And for somebody who was on the waiver wire at the beginning of the year, probably not anymore. Maybe he is. And if he is, I think he needs to be picked up. But he has been solid. Last week, we had 5 tackles. The week before, he had 2 tackles, and 2 of them both were sacks. So I like that. I like starting off with these guys that we don't really know, but defensive line is not really the position people come to watch this show for. They come for the linebackers. So, Darin, who is your linebacker? Who is the guy moving forward?
So let's talk about Eric Wilson from the Vikings. He was initially signed just to kind of be a veteran presence behind Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace there. But now pretty much a mainstay at linebacker for the Vikings. He's actually pretty good in coverage, which Ivan Pace kind of struggles with. And also is able to rush the passer alongside Andrew Van Ginkel as well. So Cashman can't stay healthy. When he's in there, he is a tackling presence. But Wilson's been right around 4 to 5 solos every game, and doesn't come off the field, but for a couple snaps here and there. But I don't think he's wearing the green dot. I think Cashman got the dot back when he came back from injury. But Wilson, it was thought that Wilson was going to come off the field and Pace would be that second linebacker, but it's actually been the veteran Wilson in his place. So.
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm a Bearcat through and through. So full disclosure, there's a bias here. I was a big Ivan Pace guy, and I felt like he had played his way into a role there. But as soon as Cashman came back, him losing the snaps immediately, it's immediately a red flag. But then you see Wilson producing in these snaps, and that's what's going to keep the job. I think everybody's going to have opportunities throughout the season, but we're now week 11. You know what you're getting now from these schemes a little bit. They're no longer tinkering with players and spots. They kind of know who they can lean on, and Wilson for the Vikings has absolutely been somebody they can lean on. My player is somebody who I think is just blowing up IDP right now, but is it somebody that likely wasn't on waivers, but I guarantee he wasn't on radars either, and that's Tyrell Dodson for the Miami Dolphins. I think I spent the first 2 to 3 weeks of the show just loving on both inside linebackers for the Dolphins and Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson. But everybody kind of knew Brooks because Brooks had those 180 tackle seasons. Dodson has bounced from teams. He wasn't really a household name, but my goodness, he is one of the most productive linebackers we have this season. He's got 76 tackles through 10 weeks, all right? And one of those weeks, he didn't even play. They have not had their bye week yet, and I hate these late season bye weeks. So really, we're seeing a guy that he's making a name for himself. I think next year he is going to go high in redraft leagues. And if he's a dynasty guy, I doubt you're ever going to be able to buy him from somebody at a price unless you throw some ridiculous offer out there. But not only the tackle production, I love the stability with linebackers with tackles, but he's showing us an ability to do other things too. He's got 3 sacks on the season. He's got a defended pass, and he's also got a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. All of these stats have come in different games. So it wasn't like he had just one blow-up game. He's going to sprinkle on little tertiary stats that are going to build up over time. And he is just the perfect stable presence in your linebacker group. He's a solid linebacker too, but honestly, he has weeks that he plays like linebacker 1, and he plays like the best linebacker in the entire sport. Week 3 against the Bills, he had 11 solo tackles, not total tackles, solo tackles, which is a big disclaimer, but he also had a sack. So you have the potential to have these weeks with a linebacker like him, and it was a nobody name, but I guarantee you people know him now, and I think this is 100% legit. But what also is legit is my love for safeties. So I'm really, really hoping, we did not share notes before the show. I'm really hoping for the defensive backs that you took a safety because I just have this anti-corner bias in my mind. Who is your defensive back this week?
Well, it's funny on Football Guys. This guy's listed as a cornerback, but I believe on most depth chart sites that Jeremy Reeves, the defensive back for the Commanders, is a safety. He had a slow start, like Montez Sweat. I think he had a string of single-digit games, but over the past 5 or 6 weeks, he's been putting up DB2 type numbers. Washington defense, they're a little bit depleted, especially on the front part of that line. And then something that's really kind of made Reeves a little bit more of a volume tackler is the fact that Frankie Louvu is having a real disappointment of a season. So it's just leaking through, and Reeves, he's not going to give you DB1 numbers, type of numbers every week, but if you plug him in as your second DB or somebody like on a bye week, you know you're going to get like 10, 11, 12 points pretty much as a floor.
Heck yeah. Love Reeves. I think exactly what you said. I've never been a big Louvu guy, even dating back to the days in Carolina. This season feels like I don't want to say like and I told you so, because it's not like I'm going out there. Nobody really cares much about Frankie Louvu, quite frankly, outside of the IDP community. But it does feel like we're finally getting the real picture of kind of who he is as a player. And it's just not somebody that you can rely on to kind of anchor that group. And linebacker is such a crucial position. Not everybody plays in these super deep, I got to have 10 defensive player type of leagues. A lot of these leagues are 1 to 2 linebackers. And honestly, if you have a 12-team league, that's 24 linebackers. And I just do not see Frankie Louvu breaking into that group of top 24. So seeing a guy like Reeves who can kind of pick up the scraps defensive back's a volatile position anyway. So having somebody that you know reliably is going to have a safe tackle floor is exactly the type of player that I feel like is a riser in IDP. So I loved it. Before I go into my next one, I wanted to point out here, Jamie, I'm with you, man. Dodson, do not get rid of Dodson, all right? Everybody is trying to steal Dodson on my 32-team dynasty, which is insane, by the way. Do not give him up, especially in a 32-team league. Come on, dude. That means that there's nobody on waivers in a league like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in a league like that, and the pickings are slim. You're lucky to get one or two good linebackers on your team in that league.
Yeah, if you can get two, you need to tell me your secret, because 32 teams, my goodness. My guy, the last player that we're going to talk about is kind of a riser right now. Defensive back Jordan Battle. And yes, it's a Cincinnati show. You should have known that when you knew it was me doing it. Jordan Battle, the safety for the Bengals. I was on him last year, and I was completely wrong. Egg on my face. He had moments last year where he was really good, and then he would just fall off. But that's just kind of the Bengals defense as a whole. This year, the pass, run, points funnel that is the Cincinnati Bengals defense, somebody's got to tackle people. And we're seeing the rookie linebackers are doing really well there. But the defensive backs, like, they're leaky. So you're getting people in the secondary. And unfortunately for Bengals fans, that kind of sucks. But for IDP, it makes your defensive backs more valuable. This season, he's got 70 total tackles. He's got 3 interceptions, and he's got 4 defended passes. So we're seeing the fact that not only can he cover, you can't just throw over the top and he's not going to get it, but he's got tackles. He has no other statistics. He's just kind of back there. And unfortunately, because the Bengals give up so many yards, almost a historic pace, he's constantly in the play every single time. He's had just one game where he was under 5 tackles. So you're getting a nice, solid 5 tackle floor. They're coming off the bye week. They have to win. So I do think that there's going to be motivation there. I don't know what that means as far as IDP goes. Maybe it's a vibes thing, but I don't think this team is going to quit. I do think that the Joe Burrow being activated, although he's not going to play, I think that just raises the level of intensity in that room. And I just like it when there are good players that are highly motivated on bad defenses. And unfortunately for the Bengals, that is a bad defense. But I wanted to highlight, we had a question here, and I think that you're the perfect person to answer this question. And this question comes from Jason Spera. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Hey, dudes, I'm benching Big Bob Spillane this week for Schlesinger, Caden Ellis, and here comes the Rose Boom. I love that. No Thursday night guys and super low volume Jets. What say you? So of these guys, do you agree with him benching Robert Spillane?
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'm not too set on starting Patriot linebackers. They seem to cycle through them a lot. You guys got guys like Christian Ellis, Jack Gibbons, and then of course Spillane. What isn't the volume tackler that he was with the Raiders? So Caden Ellis, yeah, I mean he's a sack artist from that linebacker's position, and then Roseboom, total volume tackler. He may only get you 4 solos, but he could probably get you like 10 assists. So like I don't know what this guy's league scoring is like, but I mean he's in it on a lot of plays. So yeah, Roseboom and lower the Roseboom, you could say.
You see, admittedly, I'm not a Roseboom guy, but of the players listed here, I'm with you. I think that he's made the right decision here. Spillane makes me nervous because of exactly what you said. They just have a lot of guys back there, and with their coach being a former linebacker, the fact that he's not playing every down tells me that there's not 100% trust there. Mike Vrabel knows the position. He played it at a very high level. So not having that stability in there, 100% of snaps, makes me nervous. But, Spillane has shown us over time that he can do it. He's just going to disappear certain weeks. So I agree. I think Jason made the right call here. And you know what? That's why I bring you on here. See, didn't even prep you for these type of questions. You're just firing them off. But before we move on to the next part, I've got to pay some bills. We are going to hear from our friends at Fast Draft.
Let me ask you a question. If you had one player to pick, one player that's going to go nuclear this week, who would it be? And on Better Picks, that's all you need to do. They have a free player waiting for you in the app. You just log in and you see, okay, who is the free mystery box player that I get to ride this week? So download the Better app. Use promo code PlayerProfiler and watch your lineups cash. Maybe. Anyway, it's easy. It's free. And speaking of free, Better also gives you $10 of promotional funds no deposits required, and better has the highest multipliers in the game, 10,000x. It's crazy to even say it. It's wild. They let you win up to 1,000x on any 2 picks with their mystery multiplier. This big bang for your buck. It's simple. It's easy for beginners. So click the link in the description of this show. Better picks. Sports just got better with Code Player Profiler.
That was not Fast Draft, but you know what? It was an ad. That's what we get paid to do here, man. We're going to move right into everybody's favorite part of any fantasy football podcast show, and you know that there are quite a bit of them. I'm not sure if you've noticed that. It's waiver wire. We've got to know who to get this week. Who's going to win me the week? I've got injury problems. I've got bye week issues. Darin, let's start with you. We need 2 players. Let's start with your first one. Who's a waiver guy this week?
Okay, I got 2 guys, both with hyphenated last names. A little bit of fun for us here. First, in the linebacker spot, we got Demetrius Flanagan Fowles. Second linebacker for the Giants. First in line was Micah McFadden, got hurt. Second in line was Darius Musow, got hurt. Next, we have Demetrius Flanagan Fowles playing alongside Bobby Okereke. He's got double digits in each of the past 2 weeks, and that Giants team obviously is kind of a mess. And this is the type of player that could get an audition here at the second half of the season, since the Giants really aren't going anywhere. They've lost their quarterback for at least a few weeks. They lost their starting running back. Of course, obviously, like I said, they've lost a couple of linebackers. So this is a position where a guy like this could make a name for himself as a volume tackler.
Love that. I can guarantee you that was the first time we have mentioned him on the show. Congratulations, Darin. You have broken ground. This is history. All 29 people watching this are into it now. I think it's a good pick. Sometimes scraping the bottom of the barrel feels gross, and maybe that's not a name that you would have thought, but opportunity knocks. Somebody has to answer. Okereke, he knows what he's doing there. He's a solid linebacker. If he's on your team, you're starting him no matter what. But we have seen systems, the Giants being one of them, that can produce 2 quality inside linebackers each week, one better than the other, but that does not mean that you can't start both. So I love that. Mine this week is Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, I've talked about him a lot this year. I liked him a lot coming into the year, but he's had some up and down a little bit, but for the most part, he's been consistent. I like him this week because it's probably the biggest game of the week. It's the Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams, we know what their offense is like. We know what Sean McVay is as an offensive head coach, but we've seen Kobe Bryant be productive all season, regardless of who he's against. But I wanted to point out a few teams that he's played against this year that have had high passing volume. We'll start with the Buccaneers. He had 8 total tackles. The Jaguars, he had 7 total tackles. The 49ers, before everybody got hurt, 8 total tackles. I think that he is the type of player that is going to be involved in this secondary. He's going to be involved early and often. I've talked about Kobe Bryant and why I've loved him ad nauseum on this show, so I'm not going to go into that. It's not a Mamba mentality thing. We're not talking about that Kobe, but any Kobe will do. I think that in the secondary for Seattle with Mike McDonald, a defensive head coach, it's just like when you have offensive head coaches with good fantasy offensive players. They amplify what their floor is, and they raise the ceiling. So you know you're going to have a solid floor here with a defensive back, but you also have the ability to go that next level. He's had some great games. He's only had 3 games this season under double digits. Unfortunately, 2 of them came in the last 2 games. But in those games, he had 4 assisted tackles. You hate that, but it's 4 tackles. And then he had 6 total tackles, but 5 of them were assists. So he is involved in taking the ball carrier down. We're just not getting the solos right now, which is really what drives those points. But either way, the volume is there. I'll take my chances that he gets back to the solo tackle column this week moving forward. All right. That was number 1. You brought it. That was a really good first waiver. Can you top it with your second guy?
I will try. And like I said, this is another hyphenated name for us here. And that's going to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from my beloved Bears. Apparently, Gardner-Johnson doesn't fit in well in certain locker rooms, so he's kind of bounced around for the past couple of seasons. But he seemed to find a home with the Bears alongside Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. And so they've been running a lot of 3 safety sets. In fact, he had 59% of the snaps his first week with the Bears and 99% of the snaps last week, and has had double digits in both of those weeks. So he's kind of siphoning some points both from Bayard and Brisker. He's kind of a hybrid between the two safeties. Bayard's more of like the deep guy, ball hawk, interception guy, knocks down passes, and then Brisker's more of the box safety that comes up front and makes a lot of the big hits. Gardner Johnson's kind of a combination of both of them, and like I said, they're going to be stealing points from each other, but Gardner Johnson's probably a guy that you could find on your waiver wire. So moving forward, it looks like they're going to go with this three safety rotation, and Gardner Johnson is a steady vet that could get you some points here towards the end of the season.
Love that. I do a weekly stock market article at Football Guys, which you are also a part of. And as my first premier penny in the stock market was CJ Gardner-Johnson. It was exactly what you just said. We've seen him perform in the past. He's good. He's had some injury stuff. He's been gone for a little bit. He has exploded these past 2 weeks with playing time. He has been nothing short of fantastic. This type of pace, I know we love to extrapolate data to make our narrative feel better, but if you pulled this out to a 17-game pace, he's contending for the top 3 at the position. And if you're getting that down the stretch, I don't care how long you pull that data out. I'm here to win championships. I want internet plaques. I want to live in glory. And sometimes it's the players you don't realize that are going to put you over the top. So I absolutely love that. Can't believe I didn't think of that, but I'm glad you did because it started a great conversation and you put it perfectly. But my guy is not near as fun to talk about, but again, it's a waiver wire piece. You gotta scrape the bottom of the barrel here a little bit. I went with Eric Armstead, and that's kind of against what I normally talk about on this show. I'm very much about stability. I think that you win IDP leagues by creating as stable of a defensive lineup as you can. Offensive fantasy football is always going to be king, and you know who the good players are and the bad players are. IDP, it really takes understanding who is playing and how they are playing in the snaps that they get. Armstead only has 19 tackles on the season. I'm burying him here, but I promise you I like him. He's also got 4.5 sacks, but he is the type of player where if you insert him in your lineup, he is going to score every week. And at defensive line, especially with how deep some of these leagues can get, everybody loves a good edge rusher. Everybody loves those big interior guys like the Quinnen Williams of the world, but not a lot of people think about those secondary defensive tackles. It kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier. Armstead has been productive. It doesn't come all in one game. He's like 1 to 2 tackles a game, but he will surprise you with a sack every now and again. And at that interior defensive line, I like that. I also love his matchup this week against the Chargers. I like the Chargers, but their offensive line is not good. I'm going to try to be nice on here. We're live. They can't edit anything out. They've not been good. If you watch Sunday Night Football, say what you want about the PFF grades, but I can tell you even PFF had them at the bottom or even not ranked at times. Every single player on their line. Pat McAfee did a wonderful thing on it this week on his show. So he is going to have good opportunities against a weak offensive line. We have seen Justin Herbert. He's a great quarterback, but he tries to extend plays. And especially with this offensive line, I think he's going to be a bit more sporadic this week. And I think that's going to open up opportunities for Armstead to get to the ball carrier, potentially get another sack. Last week, he had 2 tackles and a sack. Like I said, he's got 19 tackles on the year, 4.5 sacks. I can see him adding to that this week. Sorry. Darin, that was great. That was waivers. But I want to hear a little bit about you. And I want the people to know kind of who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, I'm in just right off the bat. I'm in way too many leagues. I can't.
Aren't we all?
I can't seem to cut any because they're all just a little bit different. You know, I got the 32 homer league. I got 16-team IDP leagues. I got 14-team IDP leagues. I got leagues that don't have any contracts at all that you keep everybody who you got. So I'm in a ton of leagues. I've been in a lot of leagues. I started on the fantasy basketball side actually, but then a friend at work got me hooked on fantasy football, and it's been all uphill from there, or maybe downhill. I don't know if it's been uphill or downhill, but you know, I love the sport. I love watching. I've kind of taken a specialization, if you will, in IDP. And I write for the Football Guys website, and I do a IDP dynasty sleepers. So that's kind of my background, is finding those diamonds in the rough, like Demetrius Flanagan Fowles for one, and bringing those guys to the forefront so people that are in dynasty leagues could kind of scour their waiver wire and pick up guys, throw them on their taxi squad, and then watch them blow up the next year.
Heck yeah. I love it. All right. We're going to do the Blitz. Like to end the show with a little something different every week. Try to do something specialty. For you, the specialty was, I am just going to throw random players at you, and I want you this or that. Who do you like? We're going to start with defensive back, specifically safety, my favorite position. Xavier McKinney or Antoine Winfield. Who do you like this week, and then who do you like rest of season?
To answer both, it's Antoine Winfield. He's slipped a little bit with Tyke Smith up in his game, but McKinney also has a couple of other guys that are in that safety rotation. Winfield is just competing with one other defensive back, so I think talent. I mean, McKinney's talented. Don't get me wrong, but I think talent wins here, and I think I'm going with Winfield.
Man, I've loved Winfield. Tyke Smith has kind of made me check back a little bit, and then I just got the blessing of getting a Xavier McKinney off my waivers this past week, and then he went off. So I think I'm all in on the Xavier McKinney train. I've never had an opportunity to really have him on a team. I think that he's good because I just think the Packers defense is really good. I think Winfield's probably the better player. If you're going to build a football team, whether it's on the field or in Madden, you probably want a Winfield. But McKinney and IDP, man, he has been fun. He's been very versatile. And I'm not trying to disagree with you here. I just do not like the way that Tampa Bay is deploying Antoine Winfield. But you're starting to sell me a little bit on it. I'm not going to lie. It makes me feel
you can't go wrong. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one. Honestly, there's no wrong answer here. I think McKinney is obviously a solid IDP. He's going to get you a lot of tackles. And that, like you said, the Packer defense is good. So you want guys on good defenses.
Heck yeah. Jamie, I appreciate that. Everybody, like, comment, subscribe. That's your YouTube call, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to do on these shows? All right, next person, Drake Thomas or Tyrese Knight. Both of them, Seattle linebackers. I cannot figure out which one I like more.
For me, I mean, maybe the news I'm getting is incorrect, but I think once Ernest Jones is back, that Tyrese Knight goes back to the bench or maybe just a spot duty role. I don't think he's going to supplant Drake Thomas. So my answer is Drake Thomas, and it's by a lot. He's bust onto the scene. Tyrese Knight was the starter to begin the season and was really, really not productive. And Ernest Jones, I mean, he gobbles up tackles and big plays like it's going out of style. But Drake Thomas has been steady next to him. So I think once Ernest Jones is back, he takes his position back, and then Drake Thomas just slides right back in his spot, and Tyrese Knight, unfortunately, goes back. I'm not going to say into obscurity, but back to the bench.
I think I just put this question out there hoping that maybe you would just give me some feedback that Knight was maybe going to be better, but I'm with you. I was big on Knight at the beginning of the year. Got some egg on my face here. It's Drake Thomas. He's been great, and he's playing in front of Tyrese Knight, and he's taking the job. And I trust Mike McDonald as the defensive signal caller there. He knows what he wants, and Drake Thomas is giving what he wants, and he's giving IDP managers what they want. So I'm with you. Here is a spicy one. Linebackers, AFC North. Peyton Wilson, Pittsburgh, or Carson Schweschinger for Cleveland?
I like Wilson, but the answer is Carson Schweschinger. Wilson competing for tackles with Patrick Queen. He's fighting for playing time with Cole Holcomb, who gets some snaps.
Yeah.
Whereas the rookie Schlesinger, really the only person with production on that Brown linebacking core is Devin Bush, who's kind of just a nobody. I mean, he's all right for NFL purposes, but for fantasy, he gets you like 6 tackles a game total. So Schlesinger is the higher volume, higher floor type of tackler. Whereas Wilson could get you some weeks where he only has 2 or 3 solos and a couple of assists, and that's it, with Queen and Holcomb getting the rest.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with it. I know that there's at least one person watching here that has the Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb debate going on. And I kind of see what you're saying there. I think Wilson's been really productive, but he has more competition there. Schlesinger right now is kind of like a, hey, save us. JOK is not going to be here. Who knows if he comes back? I hope he can, but that injury doesn't seem like something that's going to be able to be overcome at this point, especially at the position that he plays. And Schlesinger has just been unreal this year. I think he's the IDP Rookie of the Year. I don't think it's even close for any other player. Maybe you could throw a defensive back in there. But as far as stability, a rookie wearing the green dot in Cleveland doesn't look like it's working very well for their defense. But I do think it's working for IDP managers, and Schlesinger has been absolutely on fire this year. Before we go into the next one really quick, I loved this question from Jamie on here. I got Gardner Johnson on my bench. Would you start him or Minka? I'm a big Minka guy. I'm never going to go against Minka Fitzpatrick. I don't know what it is about the guy. I've loved him since he came into the league when he was in Miami, then Pittsburgh, now back to Miami. But, man, Gardner Johnson has been amazing the last couple of weeks. What say you, Darin?
I'm right there with you. I think these guys are pretty close. I mean, you could put their names in a hat, draw one. I think you'll probably be right. So I think they're right around, 10, 11, 12 fantasy points this week. So, yeah, I think you can't go wrong either way. Sorry to kind of just, ride the fence, but that's what my thoughts are.
Hey, it wouldn't be an IDP show if I didn't somehow fit Micah Parsons in here to the next question. We're going to go Packers edge rushers here. Who would you rather have, Micah Parsons or Rashawn Gary?
Parsons all day long. He's just the better player. Yeah, I mean, he's the one that faces the double teams, which Gary benefits from, of course.
Yes.
But Parsons is just a game wrecker. Now that he's got his feet under him, he's solidified himself with that Packer defense. That Packer defense is going to get cold there at Lambeau. The ground's going to get a little slippery. Offensive linemen are going to have a little bit more trouble dealing with this guy. So I do like Gary, don't get me wrong, but the answer here is Parsons for me.
Man, I'm a Parsons hater, so I'm going to disagree with you again. Not because I don't like you. This has been fun, but I just think Micah Parsons, it's the exact inverse of what you said. I think because Gary is getting the one-on-one opportunities, he's just got a higher ceiling. And Parsons, man, I feel like he's a lot like if you pull the pin in a grenade, you just don't throw it. Sometimes it's just going to blow up in your face. But then the week you sit him, the week you finally get over him, he's going to have that 2 to 3 sack performance that would have won you the week. So I try to avoid players like that. I just don't like it. I think he is more name recognition than he is production. But I do think he's the better football player. I think there's a reason he's got that name recognition. It's not because he can't do it. But in IDP, I just feel too often he leaves me hanging. But I get what you're saying. I take Gary here because I'm maybe a bit more conservative when it comes to this type of position. But I don't disagree that Micah Parsons is going to have that week winning potential for you. And it's never going to happen if you don't put him in your lineup. Last one, linebackers, everybody's favorite IDP position. Devin White or Robert Spillane?
Well, we touched on this a little bit with the question that came in about Bob Spillane. So my answer is Devin White here. He's been an absolute revelation for that linebacker core for the Raiders. Obviously Robert Spillane leaves the Raiders and Devin White comes in, and he's just been gobbling up tackles like nothing else. I'm in a like I said, I'm in a 32 team homer league where you got to have players off your home team, but have the benefit of having Devin White on that team, and he's just been absolutely carrying my IDPs on that team for every week. He's getting 5, 6, 7 solos and mixing in a couple big plays, knocking down passes, grabbing fumble recoveries. Spillane, like I said earlier, he has to deal with Jack Gibbons. He has to deal with Jelani Tavai. He has to deal with Christian Ellis. I do like Spillane, but he's more of like a second or third linebacker, I think, as on a weekly basis. Where for me, Devin White, man, you plug him in and you're getting 12 to 17 points pretty much every week.
I agree. I didn't think this one was a super hard question, but I do think I'm starting to see Spillane get a lot of talk online. And I think it's because we're seeing the stats kind of go back to when he was kind of the no doubt linebacker one, but he's got a lot of competition around him. I didn't believe in Devin White coming into the season. I thought the green dot thing was going to be overrated. I thought it was going to happen for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then we're going to get the same old Devin White that we've always gotten. So wrong. He has been phenomenal. He has been a set and forget type of guy. If you have Devin White, you've been pumped. if you took the risk at the time, it has paid off 10 times. So I'm 100% with you. Darin, this was fun. 34 minutes. We went a little bit over. I tried to hit 30. I apologize. I'm a liar. The first time we've ever met, I lied to you. But hey, we had people engaged in here. Shout out to Jamie. I appreciate all the questions. This has been fun. Thank you so much for being on here. Can you go over your waiver guys one more time, just for those that maybe came in late? Who were the two guys you liked this week on waivers?
So both of my guys have two last names, so it's like you kind of getting a little bonus. You got Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, who's the second linebacker for the New York Giants, and then you have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's the third safety, but in a good rotation for the Bears.
All right, and I had the Seattle Seahawks safety Kobe Bryant and the Jaguars defensive tackle Eric Armstead. Darin, thank you so much for joining us today. This was the Degens IDP Blitz. We're going to be live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thank you for those that showed up. I really appreciate all the support. Feel free to get into questions. I'm still kind of working the kinks out here. It's live show number 1. But hey, we're going to do this every single week. It's going to be great. Thank you all for the participation, and we will see you guys next week.